It all began with a single cutting remark, one that struck far deeper than I ever imagined it could. We were seated across from each other at dinner when she spoke, her tone cold and unwavering. "If you can't trust me about those late nights with my boss, maybe our marriage isn't meant to last." At first, I brushed it off as a moment of frustration, but soon I realized she wasn't defending her actions. She was daring me to question her loyalty. Her new job had slowly consumed our relationship. Night after night, she stayed late, citing critical meetings or urgent tasks with her supervisor, Mr. Karim. Initially, I supported her wholeheartedly, admiring her ambition. But as these so-called obligations stretched into the early hours, unease began to creep in. It wasn't jealousy, it was common sense. No one dedicates that many hours to work without another factor at play. When I pressed her for answers, she reacted sharply, accusing me of baseless suspicion and claiming I didn't understand the demands of her role. Still, the signs were undeniable. A faint, unfamiliar scent of perfume clung to her clothes. Her phone was suddenly off-limits. Her outfits changed dramatically for these professional nights out. My instincts screamed of betrayal, but she dismissed my concerns, making me question my own judgment. One night, I could no longer ignore the signs. I drove to her workplace around 11 p.m. The building was dark except for a single car, Mr. Karim's. I stayed hidden, observing. Moments later, they emerged together, laughing in a way that had once been reserved only for me. Their hands brushed lightly. Her laughter, once intimate, now belonged to someone else. I didn't confront them immediately. Instead, I began methodically collecting evidence. Receipts, photos, communication logs, even messages from her cloud storage, all without her knowing. Each lie left traces and I gathered them carefully like pieces of a puzzle. Back home, I maintained the facade of the unsuspecting husband. A gentle kiss, a casual question about her day, swallowing her excuses. She thought she had broken me, but I was quietly planning my next steps. Weeks later, I had enough evidence to expose the full web of lies. But I didn't want a simple separation. I wanted her to feel the sting of betrayal as I had. I discovered Mr. Karim was married with 2 young children, his wife completely unaware of his extended business hours. Without revealing my identity, I sent her all the evidence. She deserved the truth. The consequences were swift. She confronted Karim in front of their children. Rumors spread at work, his reputation collapsed, and he faced temporary suspension while an inquiry took place. Meanwhile, my wife returned home in tears, furious that he had pulled away to protect himself. She blamed me for destroying her life. I simply repeated her own words. "You ruined your own life." I then sent identical documentation to her company's HR department, anonymously. While office affairs can sometimes be ignored, cases involving potential bias and repeated after-hours collaboration demand immediate action. Within weeks, she was quietly dismissed. Her career shattered, her reputation gone, and the reality of what I had orchestrated finally sank in. She begged for mercy, her face streaked with tears, insisting she was completely alone. I only repeated her original statement back to her. "If you can't trust me, maybe our marriage isn't meant to last." Divorce followed smoothly. I left with my honor intact. She was left with nothing. No job, no affair, no partnership. My retribution was never about shouting or anger. It was deliberate, calculated, and fitting. Months later, I sleep peacefully, free of regret. I've always believed trust is the foundation of any marriage. She gambled away mine and lost everything. The most satisfying part of it all wasn't her downfall, it was knowing she would live with the consequences of her choices for the rest of her life. This wasn't a victory party or a celebration. It was simply the outcome of her decisions. When trust is broken, there's a price, and I made sure she paid it.